So difficult to make relationship with Koreans. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dan in Korea, and if you're new to my channel, my name is Danny and I make content in English about my life and some Korean stuff also. Today I decided to talk about some Korean stuff. People missed my, like sit and talk kind of videos. A while ago, I asked people some question on Instagram, what do you want to know about Koreans and Korea? And today I will just do like a casual Q&A with some of these questions. Let's get right to it. So the first question, how do you get along with your family in terms of like respect and things like this? I think some of you guys might know, some might not, but in Korea we have different ways of talking and acting to someone who's older than you or someone you meet for the first time. For example, when you're talking to someone older than you, you're supposed to use the polite form. Thank you, like familiar form with your friends, you can say 고마워. But to someone older or someone you meet for the first time, you would say 감사합니다. Sometimes it's a totally different word, or sometimes it's just a different grammar. When you're drinking, for example, when you are cheering with someone older than you or someone you meet for the first time, or like work related, we use like both hands like this. And then when you're facing the person, you have to look away and drink. Same goes for like when you're pouring alcohol to the person, you use both hands, like either like this or this. We have these certain ways that we have to act and speak when it's someone who's older or someone work related or someone you meet for the first time. But how do you do it with family? Because family is like, family. The answer is, it really depends on the family. Me, when I was young, I was using the familiar form of talking to both my mom and dad. And at some point, I think it was from middle school, my dad said, now you're old enough, I want you to use the polite form when you're talking to me. So right now, when I'm talking to my dad, I use the polite form. When I'm talking to my mom, I use the familiar form. It's not like I feel distant with my dad. It's just, it's a choice. It depends on the person. But still, when I'm pouring like drinks to my mom and dad, I would use both hands and I would look away like for the first glass, and then my dad would probably say like, oh, like, ease, like, 편하게 마셔. It really depends within families, family by family. Oh, like, I think it's related to the first question. What if you don't know if someone is younger or older than you? First of all, it doesn't matter if someone is older or younger than you. Like if you meet for the first time, you should do that to be polite. If it's work related, you always do it no matter how like young or old they are. Second of all, in Korea, usually when we meet someone for the first time, we ask like, how old are you? I know in some cultures that might be like rude, but we ask because depending on the age, the way we call someone could be different. I think these days it's less common. I don't know. Okay, this is deep. Why do you think it's so difficult to make or maintain relationship with Koreans? To be honest, I have like mixed feelings about questions or statements about this. I won't say it's not true because it does happen, but I can't really say it's entirely 100% true. I think in general, at least people around me like to stick to their own group of friends that's been formed during school or something. For example, if I hang out with my high school friends, we just hang out with my high school friend. We don't like mix with other groups of friends. And I think it's like that in other countries also. This feeling that it's hard to maintain a friendship with Koreans as a foreigner, I think it goes the other way around. Like when I was living abroad, I found it difficult making or maintaining friendship with people from that country because I was a foreigner and there was always a language barrier or cultural difference or just a feeling, or like I was moving around, I was meant to go back to Korea. There were a lot of reasons why I felt like it was difficult. I am not in touch with anyone. It wasn't like my fault, it wasn't their fault, but it's just not easy when you are from different countries. So I think people who are asking these questions need to understand that it's not just Koreans. When you want to become friends with people from other countries, there's always a difficulty, especially to maintain them. Making friendship might be easier, but maintaining friendship is not as easy. And I think another reason why these questions are asked a lot is because I think I talked about this in another video. A lot of people just randomly message a Korean on Instagram and say like, hey, let's be friends. For example, like me, I would never respond to that. If someone who I have zero information about, and a lot of times like private account or whatever, it could be a fake account, we don't know who this person is, and they're like, let's be friends. That's scary. Like, how can you become friends with someone you have zero knowledge about? Especially these people who are active on Instagram or like social media, they will get a lot of requests like this. So people just choose to not respond or take it seriously. I don't think that's like a general way of making friendship. I mean, it does happen. I've made friends online before, like long time ago, but it's not the general like case. Usually when you make friends, you meet them like at school, at work, or you know, a special occasion, and you become friends. What is the cost of living in Seoul? So I'm living in Incheon right now, which is basically next to Seoul. It's in the capital area, but you guys know I moved here because houses are much cheaper here compared to Seoul, and it's also my hometown. Living cost, it really depends on the area in Seoul also, but in general, apart from rent, everything that you need in daily life is basically kind of pretty much similar no matter which area you are in Korea. Unless you know, go to like the fanciest area in Seoul and eat there. I mean, those will always be expensive, but for everyday life, for groceries, for coffee, just local like restaurant, the prices are usually quite similar. Do most of the Koreans look beautiful? Everyone is beautiful in their own way, whether they're Korean or they're from different countries. But if you're asking, do everyone look like these, you know, handsome and pretty K-pop stars or celebrities? No, of course not. Like, it's like everywhere else in the world, like everyone looks different. There are people who look like this, there are people who look like that. If there is one little difference between Koreans and maybe some other countries, is that a lot of Koreans, especially like on a weekend or something when they go out, I think a lot of people kind of tend to dress up more. This is a funny one. What are some of the most annoying things tourists do when in Korea? When I saw this question, there was just only one thing that popped up. Oh, like maybe two things, but one like really big thing. Not general tourists, but I don't know if you guys heard of backpackers. It was a big issue a while ago, and it happens everywhere in the world, but especially like in Asian countries a lot. Backpackers are basically travelers who travel without money, or I don't know, maybe they do have money, but they would go to a country, a foreign country. They make these like signs saying, I'm traveling around the world, please help me travel around the world on the street. I really don't understand this. Why do you want to like live off those people, those local people? If you want to be funded, like be a content creator or something, like actually do something, make content. Like, don't just sit there begging for money just because you want to travel around the world and you are not responsible enough to make your own money to do that. I hate this. I just hate this idea. And some of the backpackers I saw, it's just, they write it in the local language, and then the local people will be like, oh, like, did you write this yourself? Oh my God. Like, they will write things like, I don't have money for food tonight, please help me like get food. If you don't have money for food, why are you traveling around the world? I don't get that. Number two, this is kind of minor, but I kind of understand, but I kind of don't. When you go to somewhere that's very foreign, like you're not used to the culture, sometimes some things could be like, ooh, okay, I don't want to try that, or I don't want to do that. It happens to me also. But I kind of don't like it when people are very like evident about it. People kind of exaggerate it. For example, let's say there's kimchi. You know, not everyone likes kimchi. I didn't like kimchi when I was young. And then there are some people who are like, they try kimchi and they're like, okay, yeah, I don't think this is for me. That's okay, because everyone has different things they like. But when they're like, oh my God, this is so disgusting, why do people like in this country eat this? I know there are people like that. One person even told me like, you Koreans are so like barbarian because you sit on the floor and eat. Because sometimes we have like these tables to sit on the floor and we sometimes eat there. But it's all culture. Like you can't say things like that about someone's culture. Or if you have an opinion, you have to be very careful how to express it. And this applies to everywhere else in the world. These are things that annoy me. I heard it's rude to eat with both hands. Is it? How do you eat with both hands? I don't know this. Long time ago, like my parents' generations used to think you've got to be right-handed. If someone is left-handed, they would kind of make them, like fix them into like using right hand. But I think these days, no, not really. Both hands to eat. Maybe it doesn't look nice, maybe kind of looks messy, so some people might not like it. I think I've never tried it, so I don't know. Hello, I'd like to know about understand first names. Some are singular or hyphenated and determine gender. Huh? Names determine gender. So in Korea, we call our family names first and then we call our given name. So my family name is Kang and my given name is Hee-ung. So we say Kang Hee-ung. Whereas in English, it will be Hee-ung Kang. And our given names are usually 2 syllables. So like Hee-ung. Some people have 1. It's just up to your parents how they make your name. Some people have more than 2, like 3, 4. The most standard would be 2 syllables. So 1 syllable for family name, Kang, and then 2 for your given name, Hee-ung. And sometimes we write it like H-E space W-O-O-N-G, but sometimes we put it together. Sometimes we put a hyphen in the middle. It's not because some people are using middle names. We don't have middle names. They're all the same name, just matter of like how they write it. Why are celebrities shy of dating? Why is it a big deal for even fans to not accept celebs in relationship? I think you're asking the wrong person. Like you should be asking the fandoms. I don't know, like it's so strange. Korean celebrities don't have the liberty of having a relationship. I don't know, you're asking the wrong person, but I think it's a bit more strict in Korea compared to other countries. Okay, last question. Let's do something light and fun. Favorite dates? This is interesting because I haven't been on a date for a long time, so I don't know what people do these days. But when I was dating, when I was younger, I think it's the same for everyone. I don't know, like for me, a standard date and like my friends, when I see them, it would be like you meet, go to the movies, eat dinner, coffee shop, or sometimes like drink, and that's pretty much it, isn't it? I think these days like people go like do something interesting, like a new activity, discover like, you know, new places. But I think most Korean dates kind of happen around eating, finding new restaurants to go, cute cafes to go. I don't know, you're asking the wrong person. Anyway, today I was answering some questions about Korea and Koreans. I think it was fun to just sit and talk with you guys. It's been a while. If you have any other questions about Korea or Koreans, you can always ask in the comments. I will go through them and check them out for my next videos. And I hope this was a fun and useful video to know more about Korea and Koreans, or me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in another video. Bye!